and shine. Coffee's brewing, feeling fine. News is out and on the air. Shizzy whiz nuts wild, but we don't care. Morning whiz and coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz nuts, start the show. Let's go. Spinning in the breeze, stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java with a smile, pants are off but stay a while. Morning whiz and coffee, talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz, let's start the show, let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Headlines spinning in the breeze, stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java, wear a smile, pants are off but stay a while. Morning whiz and coffee, talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz, let's start the show, let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Serious is overrated, every day we're caffeinated. Talk the town but in a jest, morning whiz is always best. Time to run, morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop.
Oh my god, Shizzy breaks Larry. Shizzy broke Larry.
Good morning, everybody. I hope that's not too loud for you guys. I'm doing this from a remote location, so it might sound a little weird. I hope it's not too bad for you. Hey, Debbie. Hey, I'm just me. Good to see you. Good morning. Man, oh man, look at all these wonderful people coming in to join me this morning. Oh, wow. Yeah, so hopefully it sounds good. I'll wait for a couple of seconds because that's usually what it takes before you guys can go, yeah, thumbs up or thumbs down. It might be too loud. If it is, I apologize ahead of time. My, oh my, look at this. Wonderful group of people who we have here this morning. Well, hell, let's bring up our first one here. Wow, you guys are doing good this morning. So, New York Times panics over religious freedoms, particularly the Christian groups. Is there anything more frightening than a Supreme Court which has been receptive to claims from religious groups, particularly Christian ones, that has yet to find it? It has been almost 3 years since the Supreme Court last heard arguments in a case that turned one of the religious clauses of the First Amendment. New York Times' Adam Lipsack wrote on Sunday, a curious lull of what has been a signature project from the court led by Chief Justice John Roberts Jr. to bolster the place of faith in public life. The hiatus is over, Lipsack noted, and according to Yale's Law's Justice Driver quoted the story, this spring's trio of religious cases threatens nothing less than to raise foundational structures of American law and life. Supreme Court this term could plausibly destroy the American public school as we have known it for the last several decades. Scary stuff, kids. Lipsack looked at 3 religious liberty cases set to be argued before the Supreme Court in the coming weeks. The first one to be argued on Monday asked whether a Catholic charity in Wisconsin should receive tax exemption. In April, the court will consider whether a Catholic charter school in Oklahoma is constitutional, and whether parents with religious objections to the curriculum of Maryland schools may withdraw their children from classes. Good morning, Mary. How you doing? Good to see you. Morning, gang. Coffee's on. Yeah, coffee's good this morning. So good to see all you guys. Taken together, Liptak wrote, these three cases will test the limits of the court's assertive visions of religious liberty, which has been one of its distinctive commitments for more than a decade. An assertive vision of religious liberty is a curious phrase used for nation established to protect liberty, particularly religious liberty, by the descendants of people who fled Britain in search of religious liberty. It's right there on the label. Let's look at that scare phrase, particularly Christian ones. Lipstack wrote that there has been one exception to religion's winning streak at the court in the last decade, the justice's rejection in 2018 of a challenge to the first Trump's administration ban on travel from several predominantly Muslim countries. Morning, Jay. Good to see you. How you doing? I'm just me. Good morning. Good morning. How you doing? But SCOTUS didn't reject the challenge on religious grounds. It rejected the challenge because the so-called Muslim travel ban was no such thing. Travel restrictions were placed on countries that were found by the State Department to be state sponsors of terrorism, including North Korea and eventually Venezuelan officials. The fact that the other countries were predominantly Muslim says more about certain people's tolerance and encouragement of terrorism and nothing about the First Amendment. I don't pretend to know how the Supreme Court will rule on any of the three cases mentioned in New York Times report, and while I'm no legal expert, at least two of those cases look to me like slam dunk cases of religious liberty. No matter what religion the plaintiffs may be, there's nothing particularly Christian about keeping your kids out of classes you don't approve of. And the charity in question doesn't have to be Catholic to deserve a tax exemption. The case involving the Catholic charter school might be on shakier ground, but I have no problem with it. Not that SCOTUS listens to me, of course. Final thought. If it's Christian groups making successful appeals to justice from the Supreme Court, maybe it's because they're the ones with legitimate grievances concerning their First Amendment rights. Look at you. Good morning, Volstorm. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Hope the volume isn't cranking everybody out. Is this live? Yeah, this is live. How you doing? Yes, it's live. Morning. Yeah, this could be pre-recorded. You might be living in a simulation somewhere along the way. Yes. You should see what I've got coming up later on today. Oh, it's going to be good. It's going to be really good. I got a new letter that I wrote, but I'll have to. I couldn't get my recording to work last night. It was sounding really, really bad. I went back and listened to it. It sounded like I was talking into a tin cup with a bottle of marbles sitting in the back of my throat. It was horrible. Oh my gosh. It's been just a crazy week. Blink if you're being held against your will. I'm blinking like 4 times. You can't see me. Well, now for the next one here. Were you ever paddled at school? I want to hear your story. I don't know. That sounds a little weird, but we'll give it to him. At Moody Junior High School in Bedford, Ohio, in the 70s, it was called boarding. I don't know if that word softened the blow any, but one thing I do know is that we didn't have a huge drug problem at the school. There were no metal detectors to keep weapons out. We didn't need a school resource officer on campus. In a Facebook group I called, You Grew Up in Bedford, someone posted a meme asking, what were the consequences for misbehavior when you were in school? Almost every answer had something to do with boarding. Teachers back then didn't take a lot of crap, and they didn't have to worry about legal repercussions for applying the Board of Education to the seed of knowledge of an unruly miscreant. The shop teacher back then was legendary for boarding kids. He made his paddle in the school's wood shop. He drilled holes in it, made every student he paddled sign it. Here are some of my favorite comments from the thread. I'm withholding the names since it's a private group. I got paddled at Moody in a shop class of Mr. E. My offense was asking a kid next to me for a hammer. It wasn't like we were in a quiet class, like English. It was shop class. Mr. E enjoyed paddling students in class. When he acted as lunchroom or study hall monitor, he walked around with a plastic ruler so he could hit unsuspecting kids on the hands. After he paddled me in the hall, he paddled the rest of the kids around me to set an example. It I was not a popular kid in the lunchroom that day. Paddle or called to the parents and everyone picked the paddle. Yeah, that was always crazy. Yes, it was. Explains my whole villain story. I took the suspension instead. Oh yeah, I remember those days. No, I wasn't I didn't enjoy those at all. My little brother, he he wore like 10 pairs of underwear to school. That was really interesting because he was always in there getting battled. Kids at the nearby Catholic school didn't have much better. Mr. B had one hell of a battle. You could hear it from one end of the school to the other side. He could really tan the hide. Crack. One hell of a science teacher as well. I used to carry a wallet in both my back pockets due to him got boarded lots of time. One was because I hit him in the head with a snowball on a dare. I couldn't talk for days about life at St. Mary's the nuns, and I never got along. Many of the kids recalled getting worse punishment at home when their parents found out they'd been boarded. If getting boarded at school wasn't bad enough, then you had to go home to your mom and dad. One said, that was back in the days before parents believed in little Johnny or Susie could do no wrong. Nowadays, teachers are afraid to confront kids who misbehave, knowing that they're the ones who will probably get in trouble. That's true. Granted, Mr. E seemed to have some serious issues, and I wouldn't recommend that particular brand of discipline, but you've got to admit there was much less trouble in schools back then. Moreover, I think kids were happier. There are dozens of comments on another Facebook page talking about how much they loved their time at Moody Junior High, with many saying it was the highlight of their school career. I certainly enjoyed my time there, and no, I was never bored. I learned a lot too. Sentence diagramming, which I still use to this day, creative writing, basic physics. We read lots of great literature too, whole books. I never did learn much algebra, but that was my own fault. The worst thing I remember doing was sneaking off to a nearby house where we smoked behind a neighbor's garage before and after school. I may have partaken a time or 10. Nowadays, public schools are like prisons, many surrounded by razor wire, and students must pass through metal detectors on their way to class. I heard a story a few years back from someone who saw a boy sucker punch a girl at LeBron James Promise School in Akron. The teachers ignored it, probably afraid of either losing their jobs or being sued. That's how it is in far too many schools, where a shocking number of students can barely read and write. But you can bet they all know how to obtain deletion and change their gender. Ironically, Jimmy Carter created the Department of Education during my last year at Moody Junior High. A few years later, the school would be torn down, having been in service since 1921. In the years that followed, the federal government would worm its way into every facet of public education, mandating all kinds of ridiculous things that have nothing to do with providing children with a good or even semi-adequate education. Most states, including Ohio, have banned corporal punishment in favor of psychotherapeutic methods of discipline, if you can even call it that. And by every measure, kids are worse off and less happy in public schools. If I had kids in public school today, I don't think I'd want teachers paddling them, mostly because so many teachers are psychos, but coddling kids who act up commit felonious assault. It's not working. Students need to be held accountable for their own behavior, and parents must double that accountability at home. And let's get rid of the Department of Education while we're at it. So, what's your story? Were you battled? Did you help see the error of your ways or make things worse? Let me know in the comments. She looks like she wants to be paddled. That's so bad. Yeah, that pendulum has definitely swung way too far in the wrong direction. Yeah, and our kids are paying for it. Yeah, we didn't have social media. That is a big difference too. I mean, now somebody misbehaving, you can usually catch them on film doing that. I called my dad, said, hold on, I'll be right there. Vice principal paddled me, then your dad. Oh God. Paddle or call to the parents and everyone picked the pad. Man, yeah, those were never any fun. Our assistant principal threatened to paddle me, and I went to the principal, and he saved me. Well, that might have been a good thing, but I don't know. Did you learn from it? Did you learn from it? Hey, Kern, how you doing, Captain Kern? Good to see you. Morning, morning. Oh boy, what do we got here? Looks like Zuckerberg hasn't really changed. Facebook is still a censorious leftist wasteland. Facebook top dog Mark Zuckerberg, January 2025, announced that he was ending the social media giant's censorship practices, appearing to be a remarkable turnaround. It seemed for a moment as if he'd heralded nothing less than genuine crack in the hitherto unassailable edifice of the left's hatred for freedom of speech. And demanded that everyone echo its political and cultural line or suffer the consequences, which, being with the department deplatformed and ended with the threat of personal and professional ruin as a publicly labeled racist, transphobe, or MAGA Republican. Well, no such luck. Facebook is just as censorious and far left now as it has ever been. Many people saw this coming, doubting that Mark Zuckerberg was really sincere when he announced that Facebook was no longer going to engage in censorship of those who dissented from the left's line and was going to open up the notorious Facebook jail and free those who'd run afoul of its far left hate speech rules. Yet some dared to hope that the left's love of silencing those whom it feared and hated crested in American culture and was rescinding. Well, at this point, however, it looks as if Zuckerberg skeptics were right. Facebook is as bad as it ever was. The Daily Caller reported Monday that Zuckerberg's recent shift straight words appears to be little more than window dressing, as his company's policies still favor mass censorship. It seems to have been courting Trump's favor, but whatever his motivation was, certainly went all in on it. Back in January, Meta said, according to Fox News, that would be ending its controversial fact-checking practices and lifting restrictions on speech to restore free expression across Facebook, Instagram, Meta platforms, admitting its current moderation practices have gone too far. Good morning, Connie. Good to see you. Sleep is a myth. I did sleep very well last night, but I have another recording to do today that'll be out later today. Another letter to Bubbles. It'll be good. Hey, good morning, Larry. How you doing? How you doing? Hey, you and I both don't know what sleep is. Yes, we never know what sleep is. Good to see you. I haven't known what sleep is in a long, long time. Except last night, I did sleep like a baby. It's being in that undisclosed location. It was hard to get to that point where I wanted to go to sleep. So Zuckerberg even complained about how Biden regime apparatus, I can't say that word because I'm horrible at language, pressured him to censor dissents during the Biden administration when we were trying to roll out the vaccine program. He said, while they were trying to push that program, they also tried to censor anyone who basically arguing against it. And they pushed us super hard to take down things that were honest, but were true. They basically pushed us and said, that anything saying that says vaccines might have side effects, you basically need to take down. And I was just like, well, we're not going to do that. We're clearly not going to do that. I mean, that is kind of inarguably true. Yet he did do it. And despite his declarations from January, he's still censoring those Facebook users. Apparently, Zuckerberg has now determined that he isn't going to get into Trump's inner circle or no longer cares. After all, Trump's suit against Meta, Facebook's parent company, for banning him after the left's fake January 6th insurrection is over, with Meta forking over $25 million to Trump in a settlement. And so with that problem in the rearview mirror, Zuckerberg doesn't have to try to keep up appearances anymore. Caller reported that Meta's current community standards still leave the door wide open for censorship. Indeed, contrary to Zuckerberg's statement about rolling back restrictions on the entirely subjective category of hate speech, Facebook's current community standards still contain a comprehensive section instructing users not to post content which would fall under its hateful conduct policy. These standards still include prohibitions on political and religious discourse about transgenderism, homosexuality, common non-serious usage words like weird. In other words, you still can't dissent from left's fantasies about men becoming women and vice versa, and don't dare call someone a clown who thinks he's a member of the opposite sex and has green hair and safety pins sticking out of his nose. Weird. Even worse, contrary to Zuckerberg's complaints about the Biden regime pressuring Facebook to toe its coof line, one still can freely express opinions on public health issues on Facebook. Meta's community guidelines still contain the section on harmful health misinformation that covers non-coof related public health issues. The policy reads, we consult with leading health organizations to identify health misinformation likely to directly contribute to imminent harm in public health and safety. Remember, misinformation is anything that one doesn't want you to believe or even talk about. And Meta still has a lengthy section on misinformation. So it looks as if nothing really has changed at Facebook. Once attention was elsewhere, Zuckerberg reverted back to his old game. There's more pity. We can only hope that as Facebook continues to demand that its users adhere to these particular positions and endure these particular leftist policies, more and more users will close their accounts for good. There was a time when Facebook didn't exist, and those days could come again, and not a moment too soon. Good morning, Wes. Good to see you. It's hard to believe that I was the first girl to question the girls' access to all classes, first in middle school to taking drafting, high school took shop and advertising art. I don't know. I don't know why. I mean, if women want to go into drafting, I think they should. I mean, they're probably much better at math than me. It is absolutely crazy. Good morning. Good morning. How you doing? Good to see you. And today will probably be a little bit shorter one. I've got a few things to take care of this morning a little bit later on, so it won't be running too late today. So it was just good to see all of chat this morning. I had a very busy past couple of days. I was traveling, and then once I got here, I was really super busy, and then I finally got a chance to like calm my brain, and by then it was getting late, and I was trying to get my computer set up to record, and it just wasn't working. So that's what you run into whenever you go out of town. Well, hopefully the sound is halfway decent. It doesn't sound like I'm talking in a tin can. Of course, my voice always sounds like I'm talking in a tin can, so it doesn't really matter. Oh my gosh, there's something suspicious going on with those Tesla protests. You too can be reimbursed for up to $200, and all you have to do is protest Department of Government efficacy on Elon Musk from the comfort of a Tesla dealership. It isn't clear whether the offer from the left-wing Indivisible project covers the cost of spray paint, keys, or bail, but money is fungible, so wink, wink, nudge, nudge, comrade. Indivisible project can reimburse groups for eligible expenses associated with your Musk or us actions up to $200 per group per congressional recess. The group's website reads, followed by a link to get the reimbursement form. But here's the kicker. Since gaining social media attention, the page has been removed. Curiouser and curiouser, but the form is still online. I suspect the people who make their living this way, or at least enjoy a nice side gig or three, are involved with various online groups where direct links to reimbursement forms can be shared. That isn't me being paranoid. That's just me understanding how the internet works. Indivisible Project's parent organization, more on that in a moment, was founded and run by the husband-wife team of Lee Greenberg and Ezra Levin. Levin. Greenberg is your typical NGO type, nice upbringing, good schools, brief Capitol Hill career with Tom Pereo, Democrat of Vermont and state, or is that Virginia? I think it's Virginia. She followed up with the creation of an online anti-Trump publication called Indivisible, Practical Guide for Resisting the Trump Agenda, the establishment of the Indivisible Civics Organization. While Data Republican doesn't show Indivisible Civics receiving any taxpayer money, has received $5,424 in from somewhere, with about half of those funds going to wages and salaries and another 10% to benefits. But here's where it gets fun. The fine print disclaimer at the bottom and of the since deleted sign up page reads, Indivisible.org is a joint website of Indivisible Project and Indivisible Action. Indivisible Project is a registered 501c4. Indivisible Action is a hybrid political action committee, and they're separate organizations. That's legalese for the parent organization, Indivisible Civics, aka Indivisible.org, is legally and financially shielded from any stupid stuff people do with the money and encouragement of new organization, Indivisible Project. But again, money is fungible, so wink, wink, nudge, nudge, comrade. Back in the 80s, we called that plausible deniability. I haven't been able to find anything about where Indivisible gets its funding. What I did find was the American Prospect's Peter Dreyer saying that Indivisible's goal is to save American democracy and resume the project of creating a humane America that is more social democracy than corporate plutocracy. And the way to do that is by paying the agitprop protesters with mysteriously source dollars to try and frustrate the will of the American people as expressed in the last election. And did you know why the Tea Party had to be squelched out of existence by the Obama IRS and the Rhino establishment? Because it was genuinely a grassroots movement against government overreach. Any form of protest is to be permitted or even celebrated, provided it enjoys the impetus of the establishment or the NGO billionaire class, assuming you can find a functional difference between the two. And Steve, he's launched Vodka Pundit on a well-planned whim in 2002 has been with PJ Media since its launch in 2005. Taps the sign. What taps what sign? What sign did I be tapping? I tap all kinds of stuff. What? Huh? Wait, so Indivisible is divided into two categories? Isn't that weird, Keister? Good to see you this morning. Yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. They're divided into two different ones. I haven't seen this yet, so I'll have to check this out. But it looks like KFC's latest ad as well. I don't know what it is. Battling the junk food demons over McDonald's, especially the fries. There are 3 McDonald's within easy driving distance of my house. When Mrs. Brown leaves for work in the evening, I can hear the diabolical melody of the Golden Arches wafting across the subdivisions and strip malls. Lincoln, come to us. Lincoln, quarter pounder with cheese, large fries. Treat yourself. Treat yourself. Have 2. They're cheap and so good. Like Odysseus, I have had the dogs tie me to the center post of the house to keep me from heeding that siren song and careening wildly to the restaurant to gorge myself on processed cheese, suspicious meat, and enough grease to keep the Abrams tank in good working order. KFC has the same effect on me. I have fond memories of my grandfather insisting that the entire family get together for every single holiday, at least for the summer celebrations, where the buckets and buckets and buckets of KFC, while incredibly unhealthy, it is an American icon. For better or worse, it has been part of American celebrations and gatherings for decades. And while I know that a diet of WD-40 and rock salt is probably better for my health than a bucket of original recipe, it flat out tastes good. As a friend once said to me, there's nothing like it. Sometimes you just gotta have it. And I would have to agree. I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to watch it because it's a KFC commercial and I'll probably get in trouble for it. But oh, hell with it. Let's see how much trouble we can get into. Okay, that's weird. What in the hell did I just watch? I have no idea, but the description for the video reads, do you find yourself lost in the woods of modern life? Fear not, for salvation in sauce is near. Thrust in the thumping sound of the golden egg. Thrust in the liquid golden elixir. Trust in the divine dunk. And whispers the sacred words, all hail gravy. Because there are some things we still believe in. Believe in chicken. Believe in chicken? I believe I'll be eating elsewhere from here on out. Now, eating KFC is not an occasional guilty pleasure. At this point, I'm afraid that the demon may be lurking in my bucket between the mashed potatoes and biscuits. Granted, this ad was produced in and for the UK, and given what's going on over there right now, God only knows what they were thinking. Maybe it was a tribute to Britain's pagan roots in which the people worship spirits and trees and sacrifice their neighbors. Still, one need not be an uptight church lady to see the pagan imagery and mockery of the sacraments of baptism and the Eucharist. Besides, even if the creators did not intend to insult Christianity or traditional values, the whole thing is, well, weird as hell and distasteful in more ways than one. If whoever dreamed of the strangeness was taking a jab at Christianity, I'm sure they thought of it as a lighthearted jab. Lighten up, you sanctimonious wannabe saints. Can't you take a joke? That is indeed the case. It might say as much about Christians as it does about the crew of people who thought this was a good idea. After all, the Church of England, or churches in the U.S. for that matter, can't be bothered to take itself seriously. Why should anyone else? But if the Christians remain faithful, the intent is not to be missed. The ad, which is an LSD-induced joke, it was a little too weird for me, is also a subtle shove to the Overton window. The implied message is not just buy our crappy chicken. Actually, I'm sure that's what the message is at all. More to the point, the message was that there is nothing that can or should be held sacred, and everything can be mocked. Well, if you disagree, well, shut up, you puritanical, Eurocentric, Christofascist, Islamophobe. Shut up and learn to laugh at yourself, or whatever else you dare to value. Relax, normies. Of course, at some point, everything becomes meaningless, except whenever whoever is in control of your screen tells you to value. It's a dumb ad and seemingly trifle in a history of stupid marketing campaigns. But remember, it took a river of millions of years to erode through enough soil and rock to create the Grand Canyon. But eventually it got there. Hey, good morning, Zach. Who wants to eat AOC? Ew, that's bad. That's bad. Oh, that is so bad for you, man. I feel for you, Ballstorm. I really do. I really, really feel for you. It's so bad. It is so bad. I get such a kick out of it. Oh my gosh. I gotta see if I can find this, because you guys just you do this to me every single time. You do this to me every single time. I end up having way too much fun. You know that I do, and I can't help it. I just have way too much fun. Let's see if I can find it here. Yep, I'm gonna do it. I've got to do it. I just can't help it. I just really can't help it. It makes me laugh every time I see this. KFC back in the 70s was great. Yeah, KFC back in the 70s was great. I just need to have this on continual repeat. I really do.
Move back, dang. If y'all put some sanitizer on y'all hand, y'all can hold my baby. But here he go right here. Ain't he cute? What his name is, girl? He looks just like you. He got Marcus toes. It is so cute.
That baby is ugly as hell. Why is white like that?
Your birthday.
Why? She black. Uncle Marcus black as hell. Why the baby white?
He not white, Titi baby. He just light skinned. Y'all know my great grandpa was mixed with some Indian. We had Indian all up in our family.
This little white baby got lights too.
Boy, that baby ain't white. That's your little cousin.
Oh, here come Marcus.
Titi, you should have showed baby because it showed him like you are Uncle Marcus. It's still cute though. It just smell like a wet dog. Oh, Uncle Marcus, that's your little twin right there. Oh.
Marcus, this your son, Marcus Jr.
Huh? Keisha. You really playing in my face right now.
Marcus, don't say that. He probably got albinism or something. No. Hell no. That ain't my baby. Are you serious, Marcus? This baby look just like you. Like who? You better take that damn baby back to the hospital. Quit playing with me. Really? So you gonna walk off? Marcus, come back. The girl quit playing with me. Cause you really playing with your life right now. And I ain't finna sit up here and play with you. This is your baby and I'll put you on child support.
I knew you guys would enjoy that. I can't help it. It gets me every damn time. Makes me just laugh endlessly whenever I see. As a youngin', I always wondered about the Electro woman and the Dinah girl and an ew on her chest. It wasn't lost on me that it was ew on her chest. Gotcha. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Well, speaking of startups like Facebook, the future was bright for this startup founder until her fraud caught up with her. It's one of those stories that sounds like something Netflix would turn into an inspirational series. Plucky young 20-somethings start a company that helps the financially strapped students acquire financial aid for college. Then the founders strike it rich by selling the company to a big bank. Then the story takes a turn that reflects a dark shadow about corruption that you might find on HBO or Apple TV+. The company's founders fudged their data, making up clients to boost the company's profile for the bank sale. It led to a major battle in court. On Friday, a jury convicted 32-year-old Charlie Javis and her co-defendant Oliver Amar, the founders of the startup Frank, of defrauding banking giant J.P. Morgan Chase out of $175 million by misrepresenting the company's customer base and fraudulently claiming that Frank had 10 times the number of clients it actually had. Javis appeared sullen at the defense table as the verdict was read. A lawyer placed her hand on Javis's back. She brushed past reporters and didn't speak as she left court. Javis was in her mid-20s when she founded Frank, a company with software that promised to simplify the arduous process of filling out the free application for federal student aid, a complex government form used by students to apply for aid for college or graduate school. The report continues. The wild success of Frank opened the door to high-profile appearances on cable news shows for Javis. She also made her way onto Forbes' 30 Under 30 list because of her company's runaway accomplishments. The only trouble was that much of it turned out to be a facade. J.P. Morgan executives testified that Javis told them she had more than 4 million clients and would have about 10 million by year's end, but it turned out there were only about 300,000 customers, and a list verifying her outsized claim was largely bogus. Javis's attorney, Jose Baez, claimed that the megabank was experiencing buyer's remorse that J.P. Morgan Chase knew that it was getting into in acquiring Frank. Her legal team also asserted that the evidence was too flimsy to convict Javis. The judge said he would look at the insufficient evidence claim next week and also determine whether Javis and Amar should wear ankle monitors while they're awaiting sentencing. Javis has been free on $2 million bail since her arrest in 2023. Frank's chief software engineer, Patrick Vover, testified that Javis had asked him to generate a synthetic data to support her claim that the company had more than 4 million users, the AP explains. Vover countered that he refused to do anything illegal. Seeking to dent Vover's credibility, defense lawyers suggested that he was resentful that Javis didn't want to date him. The report adds he denied that. Yes, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and just wants to date me defense strategy. That's classic. It's just too bad it didn't convince the jury. When Vover wouldn't bite on fudging the numbers, Javis paid a friend $1,800 to create the fake Frank users. J.P. Morgan Chase never verified whether the users were real. While Javis and Amar may have thought that they could lie and cheat their way into a huge payday, their lies caught up with them, and now they stand convicted by a jury of their peers. Acting Manhattan U.S. Attorney Matthew Podolsky said in a statement, the court will sentence Javis and Amar on July 23rd. After that, we'll see how long it takes studios to release their documentaries and dramas based on this wild case. Happy April Fool's Day. Yes, happy April Fool's Day. And it's all just me being a fool. It's my day today, damn it. I do have a good one for you. April Fools. Yes, it's not really me. This has all been pre-recorded, just so you know. Even chat has been recorded. So if you're watching this, you're just, this was recorded like last week. That's why the news is so interesting. Oh my gosh. What do we have? Oh, it is 7:40. I'm not doing a break today because it's going to be a shorter stream today. Just a little bit shorter. I've got to get ready for a couple of things, and my lovely wife is going to be doing she's got a hearing today, and because we're out of town, I don't want to be interrupting her while she's doing that. She said, you can't tell them it's a prank. Well, how do they know it's not? I mean, they already know that it's a good prank. You're supposed to be in on this. This explains so much. I have a good joke. Just ask my husband. He hates your pranks. You have a good joke. Oh, okay. Well, we'll ask your husband. We'll ask your husband. Always playing the fool. You should know this by now of me. Oh my gosh. What is that? No, I don't like that one. And ooh, here we go. Well, that's interesting. A leftist arsonist targets Republican headquarters in New Mexico and walks away feeling righteous. Yeah, it looks. I think I've been there before. The left these days has lost considerable amount of its political power as well as its cultural hegemony, which is not too long ago seemed complete and invincible. In response to all these losses, leftists are showing an increasing propensity for terrorism, and like fanatics of all stripes throughout history, as they engage in all this violence, they think they're righteous. One recent victim of these hard left ideologues was the Republican Party of New Mexico's Albuquerque headquarters. I thought that looked familiar. I think, yeah, Fifth Street and Central. As they engage in all this violence, they think they're being righteous. CBS News reported Sunday that the Republican Party of New Mexico said that its Albuquerque headquarters was targeted Sunday in what it called a deliberate act of arson. The leftists laid waste to the entryway to the Republicans' offices and spray painted ICE equals triple K on the side of the building. Imaginative. I received exclusive photos from New Mexico GOP showing their headquarters in Albuquerque was firebombed. Ouch. The Republicans called this a horrific attack fueled by hatred and intolerance, and it certainly was. The leftists who did this were acting the same way as all hard left regimes in modern history have behaved, from the French Revolution to Stalin's Russia, Mao, Pol Pot. These leaders have a long tradition of encouraging blind, all-encompassing hatred of their opponents so as to deaden the conscience of their cadres and make it easier for them to do violence to those whom leaders designate as the enemy. Nowadays, it's Tesla owners and Republicans who are mostly the two distinct groups, and in New Mexico, which has only voted for a Republican presidential candidate once in the last 9 election, that would have been for George Bush in 2004, the Republicans aren't sure they'll get any justice. This party of New Mexico's chairwoman, Eamon Barella, said, "We will not allow New Mexico's broken criminal justice system to dilute the seriousness of this attack. The Republican Party of New Mexico will not be silenced. We will emerge from this stronger, more united, more determined to fight for the people of New Mexico and the future of our country." It's ironic that we're seeing all this terrorism coming from the left after Biden regime assured us that 4 years that the biggest terror threat the nation faced came from white supremacists, in the way that strong implication that Trump supporters were racist, violent, and dangerous. FBI Director Christopher Wray testified before members of the Senate Judiciary Committee on in March of 2021, saying the top threat we face from domestic violent extremists continues to be those we identify as radically or ethnically motivated violent extremists, specifically those who advocate for the superiority of the white race. Ray wasn't alone. Old Joe Biden said that during his speech in the joint sessions of Congress, April 2021. We won't ignore what our own intelligence agencies have determined the most lethal terrorist threat to the homeland today is from the white supremacist terrorism. The following month, a revealing piece on Yahoo, journalist Alexander Nazarian stated that Biden desperately corrupting partisan Attorney General Merrick Garland told Congress on Wednesday that violence incited by the white supremacist poses the most dangerous threat to our democracy. That assertion reflects near universal consensus among national security experts. And of course, in 2021, Biden doubled down, as I said in my address, the joint sessions of Congress, according to intelligence community, terrorism from the white supremacy is the most lethal threat to the homeland today. Not ISIS, not Al-Qaeda, white supremacists. Well, Islamic jihadis remain a genuine threat, but attention needs to be paid also to the reality of leftist terrorism. They're angry, given to violence, and convinced that patriots, as well as left-wing Tesla owners who are on the side of self-righteousness until Elon Musk started fighting against government corruption, are fascists who are a deep threat to our democracy. Now, while the Biden administration could never come up with any significant number of actual examples of these white supremacist terrorism, they talk so much about leftist terrorism is increasingly common. We saw this during George Floyd. We saw this during the BLM riots. We saw this during, the burning down of Kenosha and all these other towns, the takeover in Seattle. It's really interesting watching how bad it got over the summer of love. Well, if the Trump administration doesn't call it out as such and act decisively against it, well, we're in for a shitload of fun. The New Mexico Republican headquarters should be the last one to fall victim to arson. Restoring law and order in this chaotic age will be difficult given the large number of Obama and Biden judges on the bench, but if the effort is not made, the situation is definitely going to get worse. Oh, sending prayers to Debbie Webb. Most definitely, Debbie Webb. I hope you're doing good. PSA is please stay weird. That is the plan. Repo his truck. Today's your husband's birthday. I love it. Happy birthday to your husband. She was not a bartender. She worked at a taco stand. That's so bad. Oh, yes, definitely prayers to you and your mom. Sorry to hear that. Oh, yeah, I understand. Definitely got to worry. Definitely got to worry about it. Well, let's see. We got one more we're going to do for you. And it is this here. Whose 1984 is it anyway? One of the most effective aspects of the Trump's campaign critique of the Biden regime was that it was authoritarian, bent on framing its principal opponent on various bogus crimes and destroying the freedom of speech by forcing Americans to accept a wide array of falsehoods, chief among them being that men can become women and legitimately star in women's sport. Numerous patriots term the leftist authoritarianism as Orwellian and have continued to do so, and the New York Times is clearly feeling the sting. Leftists, after all, thought they owned Orwell and that any totalitarian regime that resembled the one in 1984 would come from the right. Well, on Saturday, the Times feebly and pensively tried to make the case that it was Trump and his supporters, not the leftists, who are really Orwellian. It sounds like a fool's errand. That's only because it is the leftist flagship that insisted on referring to guys such as Rachel Levine and Caitlyn Jenner as if they were really women. They wish that they were now as expects you to believe that the real manipulation of language is found in Trump's airbrushing of the deadly January 6th attack on the Capitol is a beautiful day, and the pardoning of violent rioters who he said had love in their hearts, which the Time insisted recalls one of Orwellian's quotes, "The past is whatever the party chooses to make it." See, the Times can call Trump's words about January 6th Orwellian because it is familiar with old leftist tactic in accusing the enemy of doing what the accuser is actually doing himself. The left, with the great lady leading the way, fabricated the entire January 6th insurrection narration out of a guy with Viking horns walking around and some elderly ladies snapping selfies in the Capitol Rotunda after police opened the doors and ushered them in. Now, this is the deadly January 6th attack, even though the only person who was actually killed on the day was a Trump supporter, Ashley Babbitt. Now, if you don't accept the left's insurrection narrative, you're engaged in Orwellian rewriting of the past. According to the Times, when the actual rewriting of the events on that fateful day was entirely the handiwork of the left, and yet despite the fact that the entire leftist intelligentsia was on board with this deception, no one was ever actually charged with insurrection, least of all Trump. And the left's efforts to bar him from seeking office again came to absolutely naught. The Times Orwellian Matthew Purdy adds that Pete Hegseth's efforts to rid the Pentagon of the divisive and racist effects of critical race theory are reminiscent of the bureaucrat in 1984 who gleefully bragged that we're destroying words, scores of them, hundreds of them every day. Remember, this is coming from the group that destroyed a generation of school children's understanding of what pronouns are and how they work by forcing us all to pretend that they were a matter of each individual's own choosing. This is coming from the group that professes to revere the man who said he dreamed of the day when people would be judged by the content of their character rather than the color of their skin. Now, Hegseth's efforts to do just that are Orwellian. Purdy also rails against the abrupt switch of Russia from enemy to ally, liking it to the switch in 1984 of the enemy of Eurasia to East Asia, and yet where has Russia become a U.S. ally except in the febrile imagination of the likes of Purdy and his fellow leftists? The biggest howler in all this childish Orwell or not ours or not yours screed is this. In 1984, hate binds members of the party, reinforced with 2-minute hate sessions aimed at the televised mythical figure Emmanuel Goldstein, an enemy of the people. In the lexicon of Trump, his many enemies, law enforcement, judge, immigrants, the press, are scum and vermin, and yes, enemies of the people. It's hard to imagine that even the New York Times could be this myopic, but, well, there it is. Matthew Purdy clearly has a self-awareness of a special needs slime mold, or a guy with a safety gear. Did the Times miss the fact that the entire justice system was weaponized against Trump for at least the last 4 years, and that before that, there was the Russian collusion hoax, the impeachment over an insignificant phone call, and, oh yes, another impeachment, efforts to bar him from the ballot over that phony insurrection. The man is now a convicted felon because a rabidly partisan prosecutor decided to elevate misdemeanors into felonies and ram a conviction of Trump through an equally rabid, partisan, and corrupt court system. No, the Times didn't miss it at all. It was leading the charge against Trump, and if anyone is the Emmanuel Goldstein of our age, well, it is Trump himself, and it is a testimony to the strength and resilience of our political system that he wasn't completely railroaded and isn't sitting in a prison cell today. Yes, the left owns it because the leftists are exquisitely Orwellian. It is they, with their felonious Trump, their fake insurrection, their equally fake women who are demanding that we affirm that 2 + 2 = 5 just because the party says so. The New York Times, in trying to shore up the left's sagging narrative, sort of like Nancy, it only reminds us yet again who are the real enemies of freedom, and indeed enemies of the people. I missed some of you because I was on the phone with the baby bro. I was telling me what was going on. He thinks mom has given up. I'm sorry to hear that, Debbie. I really do. It's unfortunate. Your daughter had a friend who was here more than her own home. I made fake adoption papers and we almost convinced my husband that I was going to adopt her. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I love the humor. I love the humor. It is going to be, this is going to be a crazy day today. I've got a lot to do, and then we will see how things go. 2 and 2 is fish. That's right. That's right. Well, everyone, I'm going to jump off of here, and I will see you guys maybe later tonight. But I will have a new video coming out. I just finished one up, so it should be good to go, and it'll probably be out sometime this afternoon. If you haven't checked out the one from last night, go check that out. No, this was pre-recorded. See, we that Rosalind. I guess the time was to tell everyone that none of this was live. This is all Memorex. This was all pre-recorded. Everyone I pulled up, we recorded this early. So anyone watching, it is not Memorex. It is not real. It is April Fool's Day, and I'm the biggest fool of them all. Everybody have a wonderful day. We'll see you very soon. Peace.
Bless your heart. I thought I was the only mentally challenged one here.
Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Early morning, rise and shine. Coffee's brewing, feeling fine. News is out and on the air. Shizzy Whiz nuts wild, but we don't care. Morning Whiz and Coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy Whiz nuts, start the show. Let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Headlines spinning in the breeze. Stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java with a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning Whiz and Coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy Whiz, let's start the show. Let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Headlines spinning in the breeze. Stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java, wear a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning Whiz and Coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy Whiz, let's start the show. Let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Serious is overrated. Every day we're caffeinated. Talk the town, but in a jest. Morning Whiz is always best. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop.
Oh my god, Shizzy breaks Larry. Shizzy broke Larry.